Make the most of all the action in Mobile, Alabama with our top 2026 Dynasty rookie sleepers who could break out at the Senior Bowl. All this and more next on the IBT podcast.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fix this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right, and welcome into the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. The NFL season still in full focus. Postseason's been filled with comeback wins. We've had some season-ending injuries and coaches being told take a hike, pal. However, we are turning our attention to the first stop on the 2026 NFL draft cycle, Mobile, Alabama, for the Panini Senior Bowl. It's that special time of year. Team personnel, analysts, we're all boarding these planes, these little itty-bitty planes, heading south to watch the best seniors in college football take the field for a week worth of practices and a final game. We'll break down our top Dynasty rookie sleepers who we think could break out for the event. I'm your host, Seth Wilcock, preparing for the maiden voyage to Mobile, where I'll be present for the first day and a half of action before traveling to New Orleans for the FP Company trip. And I'm joined by a couple of the best in the business. He's a big business, light ranch and son of a gun. GM Eric Romoff. Tex, how are you? I know it was a tough loss for the Texans over the weekend, but at least we got the start of rookie season kicking off, my friend.
That is the only thing that can give me solace in this very, very dark time as a Texans fan, where I believed at one point we had a franchise quarterback, and now we've got a guy who is plagued by the yips and is going to give away what should be a pretty clear championship run based on the strength of this defense. So morning, but here with the IBT crew so I can work my way out of this fog.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear it, man. And just keep it on, man, because I would do a lot of things to have CJ Stroud as my quarterback on my team. So, first world problems up there in Houston for you. And also back in the saddle is a man who right now sits atop our Prop Decks playoff tournament, Boston's boy, Steve Lawson. Steven, great to see you. And congrats to you and the probable path for your Patriots returning to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm much more excited about my Prop Decks team being great, to be honest with you, because it just pays to be bold. I'm also flying high. I am celebrating my anniversary tomorrow.
Let's go.
So I'm excited. 2 years with my guys. So,
let's go, bro.
I'm having a pretty good week here right now.
All right, well, keep it up, man. Only 2 weeks left, and you could be taking home the big prize in the Prop Decks tournament. So,
one that I have to give back.
Yes, the one that you then have to give back, but
or resign. Still an option.
Yes, resign.
It's on the table.
It's on the $200 Fanatics gift card. It ain't bad. That might be worthy. Also making us sound crispy behind the scenes, our Wizard of Oz of this particular program. He's a Yinzer, he's a Ginger, and he's a former IUP Crimson Hack, baby. He's producer Kyle Scott. Jim, how are you as the rumor mill continues to just spin out there in Western Pennsylvania about who the next ball coach is down by the shore?
Hey, honestly, I couldn't care less about what the Steelers are doing. My mind is focused on what I have in common with the national champion of college football coach. IUP, baby. Crimson Hawk pride. Let's go. Some good news for once about my alma mater. I'm very excited about that more than anything else right now.
No, I absolutely agree, man. Shout out to Sig, of course. And, I tweeted this out, but this is a guy born and raised in Western PA, the field that Kyle and I had tailgated a lot outside of, caught some ball on the inside of it, got to interview some players back in the day. That is Frank Signetti Field. That is his named after his father. Born and raised out in Pittsburgh, moves to Indiana as a kid, as a young lad, and then goes to West Virginia, eventually leaves Alabama as a receiver coach, making $300,000. Say, hey, I'm going back home, baby, taking 120 grand. Wife not happy about it. Assistant coaches making anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000, living on government assistant. This is a Western PA story. This is a football story as well, boys. I mean, yeah, this isn't our college football program. We don't have one of those quite yet. But, guys, I mean, you got to give the Hoosiers credit. What a run here. Maybe the biggest Cinderella story in all of sports over the last decade or two.
I would call it a Cinderella story if the landscape of college football hadn't drastically changed in the last 3 years.
Sure.
Because one thing that seems to get swept under the rug quite a bit when it comes to the Indiana Hoosiers football team is who's backing them as a financial guy. And if anyone wants to take
that is a more recent development, though. I will say that is.
But still, when you have Mark Cuban throwing money at your program, it makes things easier. I think going forward, I think the days of the old school like Bama, even
Ohio
FSU
State
and guys like that, Ohio State will be fine because they have money coming in. But we're going to see schools like Vanderbilt, like Indiana, like Michigan State even. We're going to see really big turnarounds in these programs because they just have money to throw. Like, honestly, the entire NCAA needs to be terrified because if Harvard decides they're going to go get a national championship, they have like $5 billion in endowment. They could just literally wipe the floor and be like, we'll buy everybody.
I don't even know what is Harvard FCS. I think they're FCS. If they're I think they're Ivy League, which I would technically be their own, which would be their own thing. But
but
I don't think Harvard's coming out anytime soon. But I mean, we're definitely
not. But that's what I'm saying is like Vanderbilt is going to be an absolute powerhouse until they figure out like a salary cap.
Yeah, a lot of money down there in the Music City. Eric, any thoughts from you on this just absolute gentleman out here in Sig Signetti and the Hoosiers rise to relevancy?
I can't speak to the sensibilities of Sig Signetti. Seems like a nice guy. I love that he's an IUP Crimson Hack because I have the opportunity to make that noise in front of a microphone one more time. I thought it was a pretty good game. I think that these are both programs that would not be in the title game or even in the mix in prior years' formats. And now we're at a point where we get to see some of the benefit of a little bit of a wider field and these Cinderella runs, which makes for great drama and great TV when it comes down to a national title like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just a cool run to see the guy who is the head coach of our D2 football team, my freshman year of college, make it 10 years later in the Natty. So, Kyle, thanks for sharing that, buddy. Appreciate you back on the sticks as always. And also appreciate all the wonderful folks who are tuning in across the internet with us. Please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, make sure you're subscribed if you're new as well. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the NFL draft, and we can only do that with your help. And also want to shout out our friend Ben hanging out with us in the chat as well. What's up, Ben? Great to see you, man. Also, before we jump into the program, just wanted to clarify some speculation across the internet as well that I've been hearing on a couple posts. But yes, I have officially joined the Fantasy Pros team full time and absolutely blessed for that opportunity. However, IBT isn't going anywhere. Myself on this program in particular, also not going anywhere. So there will be times I got to lean on my co-host here. Steve has been putting in work and getting his reps on the hosting chair, so I'm sure we'll tap into that at some point. Eric and Jake and Tyler, everyone we kind of have in the back end here, of course, ran by Kyle, making the moves is a blessing. So there will be times where I'm sure I'll have to be off an episode, but we're still ripping 309 episodes strong. So we appreciate you guys. But this thing is so much bigger than me now. And Steve and Eric, I know you guys are playing a big part of it behind the scenes. So I just wanted to clarify that we're not going anywhere, baby. IBT rolls on.
Oh, phew, dude. I thought, I was sitting here thinking like this was it, that I was out of a job on the podcasting world. I'm like, I'm just sitting here like, well, maybe not. We'll see if we're here next week.
I personally thought that Seth was staging a very public surprise intervention on me. So I'm glad that it's good news that he has full-time employment at FP.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It wouldn't be possible without you guys. And unlike Steve, I give a 2-week notice. Unlike Steven, that's for damn
Never
sure.
give one. Don't give 2-week notices. Don't give 2-week notices.
And where you can see more of myself, Steve, Eric, all the banter that happens between us on the podcast also happens with us on the IBT football family as well. That is our premium community where you'll get access to chat with myself and our other analysts and viewers in our Discord community. You can also get entry into our memorabilia giveaways. That's for absolutely no cost, folks. And then if you want to upgrade, you can get access to our full betting cards and touchdown contest. And you can also upgrade for $3.99 per month. And that's going to fuel you per month. You can go $36 for the year. This will also unlock all the benefits that come with the racing family. We got contests. We got betting models over there, full betting cards as well. The entertainment family kicking off in epic fashion right now with a new betting model for over-under Rotten Tomato scores, also for box office numbers. We have a Survivor 50 league going on over there as well. And of course, the golf family rocking and rolling as we get going here with the PGA one and done contest, some more exclusive betting content over there as well. So great stuff happening, all for one price, $3.99 per month, $36 for the year, or just join for free and get some of that free information and conversation over there as well, guys. It's been a lot of fun and excited to keep rolling and rocking with you guys. But let's go ahead and jump right into things here with Sure Thing Sleepers and fire up the Senior Bowl coming your way in Mobile, Alabama next week.
It's the Sure Thing Sleepers of the Week.
All right, Sure Thing Sleepers. We're breaking down the Senior Bowl and more specifically our top 6 sleeper picks for it. We're going to start with the schedule. Practices Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with the game itself on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, live on NFL Network. Some of the top prospects to watch in this game as well that you're going to want to keep in mind here. It's going to be Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia, as Steve shouted out the commies earlier in the program. Penn State running backs Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen expected to appear. Washington running back Jonah Coleman. Those are really your running backs likely 2 through 4 in this class. Pavia moving up draft boards with the returns to college from John Mateer and Dante Moore, the Oklahoma Sooners and Oregon Ducks quarterback. Indiana wide receiver Elijah Surratt. If he shows up, we know, again, as the Hoosiers just won, we'll see. He was accepted of an invite, though, so we'll see what happens there. Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion, Missouri wide receiver Kevin Coleman, and Oklahoma wide receiver Deion Burks. Those are some of the big names that we're going to put into focus this next week. And also, we more on this episode are going to kind of talk about more of the under-the-radar plays, right? Some of last year's sleepers that we talked about heading into this episode, Jackson Dart, Harold Fannin Jr., he was one of my favorite plays coming out of the MAC. Alec Manor as well. Isaac Tesla, Steve, I think you shouted him out, and Ollie Gordon. Those were so just a couple of the guys we shouted out last year. There were some misses as well that I'm not going to name, but name them. Well, I had Khalil Mullins. I'll tell you that one. He didn't even show up. Khalil Mullins. Yeah, that's kind of.
Oh, so when you say we had misses, you mean you had misses that you weren't naming.
I mean, I can go. Steve also had. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the quarterback. He ended up having a really good week, and just I don't know if he did get drafted at all. I haven't seen him around, so yeah, it's been tough. Memphis quarterback Seth. It was Seth something. I don't know. Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Let's go ahead, though, and let's get into this year's sleepers for the Senior Bowl. Eric, fired up. What do you have that you're keeping an eye on down there in Mobile?
Yeah, first and foremost, looking over to my guy, Adam Randall, the running back, the converted wide receiver for the Clemson Tigers. And it is that change in position that I think is most appealing for me, right? We're talking about a guy that is a little bit further down the rankings in terms of how people view him as a prospect at the running back position coming in. But I think that some of that has to be taken with a grain of salt because this was his first season playing the position full time. And he went out there and averaged almost 5 yards a carry, found the end zone 10 times, right? 168 rush attempts, 814 rush yards. So showed some promise there. The things that I think are particularly interesting, really good size, 6'2", 230 pounds. Like he has
I'll give you that
like kind of like classic prototypical NFL running back frame. Obviously being the first year playing the position, a former 4-star wide receiver. There were some mistakes to his game. There were some blemishes in his tape, but ultimately a player that I think if he really commits to the position and continues to develop and advance in the practice of the running back position, I think he's got a lot of promise because he has that frame. And converted wide receivers, one of my favorite archetypes for these deep sleeper running back picks, right? These are guys that generally are on the field more in passing downs. They have pretty good baseline in pass pro, which is very much so a barrier to playing time or barrier to entry on playing time at the NFL level. So in this year's class, where Seth earlier you mentioned those kind of top 3 or 4 guys, and after that it really kind of falls off a cliff.
Fair.
This is a guy who hasn't seen a lot of reps at the position, can come in against some of the best competition in the country, make a bit of a case for himself, and could readily rise up boards. So not going to be perfect by any means, but a guy that I think has a lot of upside that if things break right, we can very much so see play out over the course of an NFL career.
I'm definitely with you that there is some room for some risers at the running back position, Eric, because I was on with our friend Mags over the Dynasty Hot Seat last week, and we went through my top 24. This was even before Mateer and Dante Moore did go back to college, and I had them in those top 24 rankings. And I only had like 4 running backs in my top 24. Like that's really kind of the state of the position as well. So I'm with you on that. For me, though, like give me one like converted running back to a wide receiver and one converted wide receiver to a running back in the last 5 to 10 years that has worked out for fantasy purposes. Like I can't name one. Like you had a year or 2 with Antonio Gibson.
Gibson.
You had Laviska Shenault, who had a cup of coffee in the NFL at one point. Like you've had
Daryl Patterson.
I said 5 to 10 years, but I mean, like I'm just like coming in prospects. Like you can't name one, dude. Like they really don't work. Like another good example, I think.
Deebo Samuel.
Well, he was playing receiver in college. He's not like a true convert. I was gonna more put it out there for someone else, but I don't know. I just can't.
Wait, who are you putting out there for?
I honestly couldn't tell you. It slipped me now. It slipped me now. Look,
it's not a surefire bet by any means, right? But like when we get down into the doldrums of the guys that are on kind of the back end of the prospect profiles at the position, those that have a little bit more of a unique skill set just candidly have an upside that a lot of the other sort of pedestrian players around them don't, right? So when we're talking about sleepers, I'll shoot for some upside. I think if we get a couple of Tyrone Tracy seasons or a couple of Antonio Gibson seasons out of a player like Adam Randall,
that's a good one.
that is perfectly fine return for the price tag that you'll likely pay to acquire him.
Former Texas running back, Chicago Bears, cut this last year, former converted quarterback. Do you know who I'm talking about? I can't even think of his name now. That's Johnson. It was Johnson's. Who am I talking? You know who I'm talking?
Roshan?
Roshan, there we go. Yeah, Roshan Johnson, like already out of the league pretty much. And like that's
Logan
kind of
Thomas, converted quarterback to tight end. That worked out.
Okay, all right. That worked out for like a year. I don't know. I'm out on these types of players. I get it. They're fun. And maybe we see something more. I'll keep my eyes peeled for him, Eric. I don't mean to poo in your sandwich, but
what a heel.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll go ahead though. No, Steve, actually, you go ahead. Diffuse the situation, and you also have a running back, so keep it at that position.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with Le'Veon Moss out of Texas A&M. This is a dude who's been injured 2 years in a row. He's lost 2 seasons essentially to injury. Not this season so much as last season. He looked really electric, really explosive, but we need to see it, right? We need to see what he can do against competition. We need to know, is that ankle going to hold up? Is it, how injured is he? He was able to handle 20 and 21 carries in his last 2 games. So I'm optimistic, but we don't really know what he's going to look like right now. So if he goes out there and kind of blows the doors off this camp, as you and Eric both alluded to, this is a really weak running back class, and he could make himself some money here by moving up the draft boards and being like a top 5 option at the position that is just paper thin in this draft.
I totally understand it. My biggest question is like the health, right? Because only finally came back at the very end of the season for that Miami game, didn't have his usual typical workload. So I am curious to see how right is he. And this is also a guy, let's keep in mind, who he's never played more than 9 games in a season, right? He's always getting banged up, dude. Like he was even having a way better season a year ago before I think it was an ACL tear and then comes back and hurt. Like I will honestly be surprised if he is a full go at the Senior Bowl, but you think if he was able to play a college football game, like he'll be fine a month later. So I'm excited to see Le'Veon Moss, but I just like, I don't know, Eric, when you get this many injuries for a running back before they even touch the NFL, it's a scary situation.
Yeah, it is scary. The place where I'll kind of push back on Steve's choice here is I don't think that he can necessarily change his fortune at the Senior Bowl, right? Like the course of this weekend isn't really going to remove any of those injury concerns, which is very much so what's dragging him down, right? The only exception to that is like if he gets into some interviews and some front office personnel fall in love to the point where they're willing to look past that, he has an absolutely electric profile, right? So everyone that's going to be evaluating him is going to be doing that calculus. Is the risk of a reoccurrence of these injuries worth the trade-off of tapping into this electric upside, right?
And you need to see it happen. You need to see it happen in the game. You need to see him bust one, go long, and be like, okay, that's theirs, because that's just what they're looking for, right? Because we've seen a lot of guys come off of pretty significant injuries over and over again. That I'll even reference a Florida State Seminole kind of guy, Josh Sweat. That dude, they gave his career 2 years before that knee was supposed to explode.
Yeah, good point.
And he's basically an all-pro rusher.
Yeah. Well, I'll stick at the running back position, guys, and I'm going to go with Seth McGowan, running back for Kentucky. This is an older prospect who really bounced around for a couple of years.
Oh, my
God.
Say the How least. Old is he?
So, including the 3 months that he spent in jail after he spent a year at Oklahoma, this guy is now 25, right? So he is a bit older. 4-star recruit, though, coming in, right? Got mixed up with the law. Little alleged burglary on the record, but he then lands with New Mexico in 2024. And what a brilliant story it was, right? I mean, second chances, talk about it. 6th in Conference USA in yards from scrimmage with 1,100. Finished second team all-conference honors that year. Then transfers to Lexington this past season where he led Kentucky in rushing yards with 725, 12 touchdowns, which is 5th in the SEC. Also had 19 receptions for 126 yards through the air. Why this was impressive, to me, is just Kentucky's offense. If you guys didn't watch any Kentucky this season, if nobody did, I don't blame them, because this was one of the worst offenses in the FBS, right? I mean, big Zach Calzada. Then we go to freshman Cutter Boley, who got himself a nice little NIL deal, but I still don't think the kid can play. Every time you watch someone like McGowan in this backfield, he was just absolutely popping off compared to every other player on the field. Prototypical size listed somewhere between 5'1", 6'1", 210, 215 pounds, somewhere in that range. Very shifty guy. And I think
between
you just got
what?
210 and 215
no, height-wise. How tall is he?
Oh, 5'1" and 6'1". I've seen varying reports. You know how it goes.
There's a foot of variance.
Oh, 5'11", sorry.
Oh, man.
All right. I was like, what?
No,
Dude,
no.
I kind of want him to be 5'1" now.
No, he's a lankier guy, honestly. And the thing I like about him is he's got some burst, right? And he's also more of a downhill runner. So I think he needs to go to somewhere that's going to fit that. I wouldn't really want to see him in his own run scheme. I want to see him more like a Kellen Moore, downhill power type zone or power type run scheme with the Saints. And I also think he's a better pass catcher, right, than he's given credit for. So I'm looking forward to see what can he do in the receiving drills. I'm also a bit concerned, what's this guy's max speed like, right? Because as we know, with all these running backs coming out of college football, it really is going to come down to sometimes with draft capital, their straight line speed, right? So excited to see if he can outrun some DBs. My comp for him is another SEC running back. It's Rico Dowdle. So I think he could be a couple of week spot starter in the NFL, but I think he is more that straight line rusher, right? I think he's going to be a good change of pace guy. or someone you can lean on in a pinch if you need to. So right now, he's the rookie RB10 according to mock draft database. But I think he can move up a little bit with a nice showing here in Mobile. We'll see what happens. We'll see how he is on the mic. He's got a great story to tell, boys.
Yeah, except for the fact that he's like 4 years older than Rico Dowdle right now. So like he's already off Eric's board just based on the age because Eric's like I won't try. Like Eric's like no, I don't.
But here's the thing, Eric. Though, like, does it like if you're good at running back, you're already going to get 2 contracts. You're going to get 1 contract. Like you're going to get 1. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much the shelf life. So it doesn't really matter if you're 23 or 25 for a running back. In my mind, I care more about like being older at the other positions personally.
You care more about players at positions other than running back being older?
Well, like coming in, just because like you're going to get probably one new contract from a running back, no matter if they're 23 or 25. You know what I mean? Like they're only going to get 1.
Yeah, but the drop off happens so much sooner.
Unless you get
and this is like settled science, right? Like
I mean,
NFL front offices know to stay away from running backs of a certain age. Not to take this to last year's class. I'm really curious to see how front offices treat RJ Harvey when he gets off of his rookie deal, because he's going to be 29 years old. And I would not be surprised if we see him either not getting that second contract or not having nearly as active a market as his play.
No, because another issue with being this old is that your development is just not going to happen. Like that's the other thing.
But you're NFL ready, so you can score fantasy points for me sooner than some of these others.
He caught like 6 passes and ran fine. Like it's just,
go turn on the film for the year before at New Mexico State. He was catching nice passes.
Another thing that's not working in his favor is the fact that he does have a burglary charge and jail time on his record, especially where Rashee Rice just buffed that woman in the face and is probably looking at a significant suspension.
Don't believe in second chances?
I do, but NFL teams don't. Like you're not entitled to the NFL, and if you're acting like a moron, getting yourself thrown in jail, like, you know, that's just kind of the price you're going to pay, especially in today's day and age where they're investing more money than ever into their teams. They don't want to take on a risk like this. I'm really concerned that that'll come back. And I'm team second chance. I don't particularly hold burglary in that high of like in terms of crimes. I'm like, I don't care.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Go steal the Mona Lisa if you want, for all I care. But like
Declaration of Independence. That's where I respect.
That's not true. Like, you would high five Nick Cage if you saw him right now.
That's what I'm saying. I respect that.
No, I think art heists are sexy. If you steal art, I think you're the sexiest person on the planet. But I think you robbed a convenience store, which is like
art
the least sexy
in a museum is stolen already, right? Like,
right.
Can you steal what is stolen?
Is a 7-Eleven like that's probably the worst place to do a burglary?
That's the worst.
Right?
That's the least sexy place to steal from. You know what I mean? Like it's just ugly. It's dirty. It just like you don't know where that money's been. It's probably been in some like prostitute's like G-string. It's gross.
Yo.
Right,
no
right,
grocery store.
Not at Sheetz though. Not at Sheetz and Wawa, because we're still looking for that Sheetz and Wawa sponsorship. At Sheetz and Wawa, that is a good place. That is a sexy Sheetz and Wawa, sexy place.
You rob at Wawa.
Yeah. Let's
come on.
So it's a no though from you guys on McGowan,
no
unless we see something crazy.
I mean, what's funny is I think that he actually can go a long way to impact his draft stock with the upcoming performance at the Senior Bowl. It's just there's nothing that any running back can do who's going to be 25 or 26-year-olds when they're drafted to make me interested in them as a dynasty asset. That is just my
50.
blatant ageism. But I think he can make his NFL draft case a little bit stronger for sure.
Kyle in the back end saying he looks like he's from the longest yard. he definitely does.
Yo.
He definitely does got that look.
And he did time, Kyle, with the gainer.
Actually, he actually has these like cool glasses. You'll see him a lot of times, like pregame. He actually has like kind of like the John Lennon glasses that he's ripping around most of the time, and it's a fresh look.
That hurts. That hurts his draft stock, in my opinion.
No, that's a fresh look. That's a fresh look, dude.
I hate the Beatles, but that's beside the point.
Roundies.
All right. Well, Eric, why don't you go ahead, get us back on track with your second sleeper for the Senior Bowl that you think might pop down there in the great state of Alabama. That very excited to go to Alabama. Have you guys been to Alabama? I'm excited to see what it has to offer.
Yeah.
And no, I have not been to Alabama. I don't imagine there's much it has to offer me.
Eric, have you been to Alabama?
I have been to Alabama. I have been to Mobile before. It is a lovely part of the state. It's probably the loveliest part of the state, unless you're like really deep into like the Gulf Shores, getting on to the Gulf of America coastline. But ultimately, pretty cool little town, Mobile, Alabama. Pretty cool event they put on there.
Boochies.
What is
Buckies?
that? Buckies?
Buckies? Yeah.
Buckies? Did you just call it Boochies?
I don't know what it is. I've heard different people call it.
Bougie Seth coming in with the Gucci Bucci mix up.
It's a beaver. It's a beaver on the logo, and they serve fresh briskets, from what I heard.
And you thought it was Bucci's?
Yeah. And he thought it was Bucci's. That is sacrilege. A proud Texas company, Bucky's. The original one is about an hour and a half from where I reside. I was raised on Bucky's. I believe that there is a Bucky's within the vicinity. I don't know if there's one specifically within
I'm going to lose my Bucky's virginity. Let's go, boys.
Yeah, make sure you pronounce it right when you go in.
Yeah, go pick up some beaver nuggets and get that Bucci's out of your mouth.
What are beaver nuggets?
Go well for you.
What are beaver nuggets?
If you have to ask, you'll never know. Go ask for them and then report back.
Kyle, you ever have any beaver nuggets from Bucky's, from Bucci's?
Bucci's.
I've never been to Bucci's. No, I haven't been that far south.
Okay,
I've never been either, and I still know it's Bucky's.
I didn't know. I've heard it different. I've heard a lot of like, the only time I've ever seen it is like people on YouTube. They're from the north and they're trying it for the first time, and they don't really know how to pronounce it either. So
that's because you're from the. That's because you're from the place where the Hills Have Eyes take place. So
right,
you guys aren't cultured.
Easy. No Bucky's or Bucci's up there in Amish country. What will be in Mobile, Alabama, in addition to Seth losing his Bucky's virginity and doing a live review of Beaver Nuggets, is DJ Rogers, the tight end for the TCU Horned Frogs.
Yeah.
Look, a bit of an unheralded prospect, right? He's between tight end 10 and 15 on most big boards out there. What I like about him is his frame, 6'4", 250 pounds.
Wow.
What I like more about him is that when he's involved in this passing offense, he's shown an ability to break some tackles, right? He didn't exactly set the world on fire in terms of his counting stats in the 2025 season, right? But if you look at his 34 receptions, he broke a tackle on 10 of them, right? So he can make some guys miss. He can shed some contact and keep moving the ball forward. But being a part of this TCU RPO heavy offense, didn't exactly get a ton of looks and opportunity in that role as a tight end, and kind of an afterthought in their scheme overall. So curious to see how he performs in a little bit more kind of traditional NFL style schemes, and if he can carry forward some of his pass catching ability and his tackle breaking ability. Also, just coming in as a lot of tight ends do to Mobile and to the Senior Bowl, seeing if he can maintain his pass pro and his C gap protection at playing at a higher caliber of playing against a higher caliber of defense. If he's able to check both of those boxes, I think he could very much so move up into that like tight end 5 to 8 range. He's not going to be a Harold Fannin, explosive athlete type ever, but I think he could prove and make a case to where he can get decent draft capital, and his upside could fall like in a Pat Freiermuth. I think Pat Freiermuth is probably the best one. Maybe Dalton Schultz type of profile, right? Like he's got an upside range where he can be, picking up some protection, going out and running a little button hook, and being a red zone target, which is not nothing in the dynasty tight end context.
Well, Rogers' production, like it's really like pretty disappointing, honestly, from like a production standpoint, just because TCU was one of the leading offenses in receiving yards and passing yards the past few seasons, right? With Josh Hoover, who's heading to IU this next year. But I think the tight end market is a great place to speculate, Eric, on these sleeper potential players, because you look last year, Elijah Arroyo kind of came in a little bit under the radar despite playing at the U, right? And took Senior Bowl by storm. Every year, it's usually these bigger athletic tight ends that often push themselves up draft boards. And it's really, somewhat of these players that are kind of popping out of the nowhere. And at the same time, are these big athletic builds? So I'm interested to see what Rodgers can do. We shall see. Steve, any thoughts? Maybe not on Rodgers itself, but it is kind of a weaker tight end class outside of your Stowers, outside of your Sadiq. So there's always room for, in my mind, a tight end 3 to emerge, and why not Rodgers at least taking a dart throw on him.
Yeah, it's definitely a 7-11 kind of tight end class this year. It's not good. Yeah, I mean, it's always a wide open position. I think unless you're a Kyle Pitts, Brock Bowers, whatever kind of player, it's usually pretty open for the taking after like the tight end 1. Honestly,
yeah, we don't have anyone like that in this class.
Yeah, this is like a real bad tight end class. So, I mean, there's no reason that Rodgers can't step right in. And if he goes and, some of these places do underutilize their tight ends, it's kind of a weird position that either the coach schemes the tight end to be involved or they really don't. And it's like no in between in college football. And yeah, if he can go and be a Dalton Schultz type where he's like, hey, I have sure hands, solid route running, and I can use my big body and box out and catch, those move the chains and score tutties, then great. So I think that's an easy kind of path forward for him. Definitely someone you want to see pass. You want to see run blocking a little bit out of. I think that's going to really dictate his draft stock as well, because where he's not an elite explosive athlete, he's not an elite like receiver. If he can prove he doesn't have to come off the field, that's only going to improve his draft stock.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, honestly, like just what this tight end class becomes, because behind Eli Stowers and behind Sadiq, it is just absolutely wide open here. And sometimes you're going to go out on day 2 of the draft and you're getting yourself like a Mason Taylor or someone like Elijah Arroyo. But at the same time, you can also sink draft capital. And then like, how bad are those teams that, missed on Harold Fannin Jr., who was just a production beast, but came from a smaller school, right? Like, how bad do they feel? How bad do all the teams that passed on Tucker Kraft because he came from an FCS program, right? Like, there's all these different players that they have crazy production. That's what I chase at tight end, at least. I chase crazy production, but athletic upside also is kind of the other thing you want, and he's got the frame. So we shall see there with DJ DeAndre Rodgers. I will go to my next player that I have here for Sure Things Sleepers, and I'm going to go to the wide receiver position. This is a guy from the college football, fantasy football community that I know was very, very fond of. But NFL mock drafters are not giving wide receiver Texas Tech Caleb Douglas really any respect here, putting him outside the top 550 players overall here. Flanker wide receiver for Texas Tech the past 2 seasons. Also playing the X a lot as well. So very versatile guy. He spent his first 2 seasons down in Gainesville, 6'4", 210. Is a longer player as well, who used to play quarterback. So talk about another guy kind of who was, but he changed positions in high school. Average the past 2 years, 57 receptions, almost 900 yards, 6.5 touchdowns as well. And that's with some pretty other good wide receivers and offensive skill players there at Texas Tech, right? Coy Eakins, a really good slot wide receiver. Reggie Virgil coming in this class as well. So I think he can play that traditional X. He can play the flanker if you already have an elite X. He's going to win those comebacks. He's going to win those goes as well. And he can also line up as a big slot, right? If you want to see that type of action from him as well, which he was really effective doing because his catch radius is insane. Like that's the type of guy this is, right? This isn't the true technician. This isn't a burner either. So he does lack some athleticism, right? And the upside will likely be there as well, lacking. But I think he could be a guy who pushes himself up draft boards here because I think he's pro ready. He's another guy who I think kind of reminds me like a Romeo Doubs when Romeo Doubs was coming out of the FCS, where really kind of starting to bud those last 2 years. Never going to be someone you want as your number 1 or probably even number 2 wide receiver in the NFL, but I think he'd be a really nice 3. So I'm excited to get my eyes on him because we all know, boys, Big 12 defenses, man, it's like Swiss cheese out there. And I love Swiss cheese these days, but I don't love Big 12 defenses. So I'm just kind of excited to see what he can do against maybe some better competition opposed from Eric.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The thing that I would be most interested to see is how he responds to being jammed and makes his
Yeah.
way through contact at the line, right? You know,
Mhm.
6'4" is obviously nice height. His weight, depending on your preferred reporting source, is between 200 and 209
Slimmer
pounds,
guy,
right?
slimmer guy, definitely a
So,
slimmer
you know,
build. Yeah.
certainly a guy that if he comes in at that weight and shows that he can absorb contact off the line and still get into his route, I think that is something that will move the needle for him. If he comes into Mobile and he's put on, you know, 3, 4, 5 pounds of mass, not a ton, but just showed that he can, you know, bulk up even a little bit, I think that will also help his stock. So a guy that, you know, is not necessarily remarkable or exemplary in any one aspect of his game, but has a very nice floor to really the vast majority of how he profiles, right? So a couple of these questions get answered, and he's someone that could be a nice wide receiver too at the NFL level.
Yeah, Steve, like Caleb Douglas wasn't the star of Texas Tech, and I would argue really no one on this offense, right? I mean, Dickey was nice in the backfield. You, of course, had Baron Morton throwing the ball around the yard quite a bit until that last game in the playoff where he couldn't do absolutely anything against Oregon. So any thoughts here about Caleb Douglas? Is he someone who is on your radar? Is he someone that you think could move up into draft boards? Because he doesn't even seem to really be on them right now, which I'm a little shocked by.
So the issue I have with Caleb Douglas is that he plays at Texas Tech and didn't put up monster numbers. And if you're going to come out of Texas Tech and have me be like, wow, like I'm excited about you, I need to see it because
This
this is an
isn't your
offense.
Draymond's Texas Tech though, right? Like this isn't the Pat Mahomes Texas Tech. This is the Texas Tech where you have the elite defender. You know, the offense is elite. The offense has been elite.
And it was a pass first offense. They sling the ball around the yard. That's what Texas Tech does. It's still, for all intents and purposes, it is still my uncle's Texas Tech, just with a better defense. And the Big 12 is an absolute
that's fair.
Joke.
That's fair.
Of a conference. He did not put up monster numbers. He is. I don't want to get into the how much does he weigh, because Devonta Smith is making all of us look like idiots because I don't care how much he weighs. I like that he's 6'4". I don't mind that he's thin. The NFL itself, we have to also readjust the NFL. It is getting thinner. Linebackers are not 250 anymore. They're 235. So receivers don't need to be 220. They can be 200.
Mm-hmm.
But he lacks upside in athleticism. He lacks upside in separation. There's a lot of he lacks upside in upside, right? There's just not a lot of it. So could he get on draft boards? I mean, I guess if he goes to the right situation, if the Raiders burn a fifth on him, yeah, sure. I'll take a shot.
Dude, Fernando, Douglas to Fernando. Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna get into Fernando in a second here because of my next guy, but I just think that he needs to Eric's point, he needs to show that he can get off the line of scrimmage because if he gets jammed, and I'm talking once by a smaller cornerback, this dude's draft stock is dead in the water.
Yeah, it'll be a big week for him. So excited to see what he can do in Mobile because he's someone who probably on that line to even really earn a spot at the NFL Combine. So he needs to perform well here in Mobile, have a Jack Besh S type week. So I like that there at Caleb Douglas. Steve, go ahead and round us out with your final sleeper for the Senior Bowl. And this is a quarterback class too. It is getting thinner and thinner and thinner by the day. Dante Moore returns to Oregon, which I'm really happy he did because he's a guy who just 1 year starting experience at the Ducks, had some time at UCLA, of course, as well. And John Mateer also heading back to Oklahoma, which I'm happy for him as well. Although, I would have loved to see him in a Steelers uniform for a second-round pick. But Steve, with that being said, where are you going and who are you looking at to potentially rise up that quarterback draft board this offseason?
Yeah, I'm looking at Cole Payton out of North Dakota State. These guys that come out of the D2 programs, we've seen Carson Wentz come out, we've seen Trey Lance come out, and both of them
FCS, but you have some respect. But
but
it kind of is
D2,
but
we've seen them flame out, and that's kind of the issue. I want to say this now, and I wanted to say it earlier, but I went somewhere else. I think the NFL needs to, and fans themselves need to, prepare for a world where the days of the plug and play quarterback as a rookie are over. It's come and gone. It is very much the end of the road for that.
Tyler Shuck says hi.
Tyler Shuck took a little bit of time. He was fine, but not someone that you're sitting there going like, we have our franchise guy.
Sure.
What we're seeing a lot of, and Eric's Texans struggled with this, and we're seeing the same issues with Jaden Daniels pop up. We're seeing issues with Tua pop up. We're seeing issues with a lot of these guys popping up, is that they are not developing anymore. They're bouncing around too much. Guys aren't learning how to play the quarterback position. There needs to be a movement in the NFL that it's okay to sit your guys for a year, 2 years, and let them learn how to be quarterbacks. And I think this is going to apply to Fernando Mendoza, especially as the number 1 pick, and also Cole Payton, where I want to see what he can do athletically. Does he have the arm strength?
It's a fun watch.
Does he have the arm talent to get to the NFL? And that word is poison now, that arm talent, because I blame Jay Cutler for ruining arm talent quarterbacks, knocked their draft stock down significantly. But this guy, if he can go out there and show that he can move, evade, make throws off balance, do some of those wow plays that get people kind of being like, okay, there's something here. He can move up. What we need to expect, though, out of all of these guys is that they're not going to be very good right out the chute, or they're going to come out red hot, and then maybe year 2 is going to look real funky because all of a sudden defenses are adjusting to them and they're not adjusting anymore. And I was like excited to talk to you guys about this because I really do think we're seeing like an epidemic in the NFL where young quarterbacks are not developing. They are not developing at all. And they're actually and it's because they're coming out at their ceiling and teams are drafting them, putting them in a position where they are doing exactly what they're good at. But then when the defense adjusts to that, they can no longer adjust. And I'm really concerned for Fernando Mendoza. If I was the Raiders, I'm trading out of that first overall pick in a heartbeat.
Oh my goodness. Are you if I'm any team, I'm mortgaging the future to go get him. I don't care.
But you got to sit him. You got to sit him.
No, you don't. He's ready, man. He's ready.
He's not ready.
That guy's a winner.
He's not ready.
That guy's a winner. I'm ready for
it. Certified winner on the draft profile.
JJ McCarthy-esque winner. He's not going to this is not going to be good.
All right. Well, we'll talk more about it. We'll have a over the next week. We'll have a Would You Rather rookie edition as well. I think we'll potentially do that this weekend with myself and Eric. I think we're going to get Jake on that one, and then we'll have that out. That'll be pre-recorded. That'll be released for you guys next week. We'll have Best Bets episode later this week as well. Survivor 50 tomorrow. We're going to be doing rankings and betting odds with our guy Rob right here on Popcorn Root Beer on the IBT channel, filling in for Steve on that. So
when I'm not hosting,
looking forward to that. We got some more NASCAR futures conversations coming up later this week on the back road with Elliot and myself as well. So a lot of good stuff happening here, guys, and we'll have a lot of 2026 content coming your way. Anything I missed, Steve? Anything else you have going? Potentially a WWE Popcorn Root Beer episode in the next couple weeks for
trying to get someone to come on and hopefully we can get a Royal Rumble episode out for y'all, because that's my favorite show of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know S about F when it comes to WWE and Royal Rumble, but that was always my favorite one on WWE E2K10 or whatever we used to run back in the day. That was the best event to do with your boys because you get out, you bring another guy right back. So
I love the Royal Rumble because I love like the entrance. I love the pageantry of the WWE more than anything else, and I just get like 30 of those, right? Like I get like 30 amazing entrances, prizes. You never know what's going to happen. I think it's great.
Yeah. That's a good point, man. That's a good point. Eric, anything else I missed that we got going on over here? Content-wise, of course, all the tournaments that we have happening in the IBT families right now. Again, Survivor tournament about to start up in the entertainment family. Grammys contest as well. We're firing that up here this week. Football contest. We still got the Prop Decks tournament. You guys can still join. Honestly, not out of reach. Anyone could come in and have a big week, even if they've been playing so far this year with us as well. So Prop Deck still rocking and rolling. IBT Racing family got the head-to-head contest about to be starting here in a couple weeks for the Daytona 500. We also have the PGA one and done contest that we're going to be starting up there. New betting models as well. Eric, busy time for us over here. The boys and the girls at IBT.
Yeah, absolutely busy time. And if you're looking for me, I ain't hard to find. I'm up in that IBT Discord. So hit the link in the description, get up into that Discord while we have that promo running. come chop it up with myself, with Seth, with all of the IBT family and on-air talent and creators that are hanging out in those Discord streets.
I'd love to chat more with the people about this QB problem, because
Yeah,
I think I'm on the forefront
I can't
of
believe
worry.
that Seth just clipped my wings. I was over there holding my breath for a response.
I was waiting for your response.
And he was like, "We'll talk about this later." There's so much meat on the bones. We'll call that a cliffhanger, because we can dissect this concept for shows and shows and shows.
Okay, well, I'm excited for that. That's going to do it, though, for us tonight on the In Between Fantasy Football podcast. Please do us a quick favor. Give the video a thumbs up if you've lasted this long. Subscribe to the entire channel. Fantasy football, NFL betting, college football betting, NASCAR betting, PGA betting, entertainment betting, all to help you cash more and to enjoy that ride along the way. So much goodness happening over at in-betweenmedia.com. From the dope written content, you put a chat on that, in-betweenmedia.com/chat. You'll go to the Discord and jump in all the fun interactive things we have going on over there as well. For my friends, Steven Lawson, Eric Romoff, and of course, Kyle Scott, baby. I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care until next time. We'll see you then. Thank you.